Welcome to the journey where faith, family, and fashion collide. I don't promise to always get it right, but I do promise to always keep God first. Through authenticity and transparency, I've been able to build my platform. And as a result, I live a pretty blessed life. So come on in. Just know I love you already. What's up, Journey Gang? I'm so excited. We are back on YouTube. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. You got that right. We're back on YouTube. I know it's been a little minute, but if you want to know where I've been, you have to check out the life update on the Real Tips Road Trips page. It involves my bestie, so you know I couldn't do it without her. That life update is coming out on January 29th. So this video will drop before that one, but make sure you check in on Real Tips Road Trips for our life update. So I'm so excited to be back, y'all. OMG, life has been lifing, but the enemy is trying to get me to close my mouth, and I won't do it. Right idea, wrong girl. So today's episode is going to be about examining performance addiction. For my psych and social work ladies out there, please don't kill me. I have not done the Googles, if you will, but I do know myself. I do know the conversations and confirmations that God has had for me. So don't nobody call the police on me, okay? I'm just sharing my experience with y'all. So around the latter half of last year, I quit my job in August. And I thought God was done with me then. I quit my job in August and I was like, okay, this is cool. I can get a whole new schedule. I can get a whole new lease on life. This is bomb. But I was still busy. I was still so super busy. And I was just I know that, don't get me wrong, it was a beautiful experience. However, I just was still I don't feel free. I don't feel free. And mind y'all, I'm being super transparent with y'all today. So I pray that this resonates with who it's supposed to resonate with. And so, yeah, I just still didn't feel free. Loved by God, my life is great, all of that. But I just did not feel free. And so God was showing me some stuff, but it wasn't quite I was missing some puzzle pieces to it. And so I had a conversation with someone very close to me, and she was like, you need rest. And I was like, rest? What does that even look like? What does that even mean? Rest? Okay, what is that? I don't know. I don't know. So I had to be very honest in that moment and just I don't know what rest is. So then I had to examine what's taking up the majority of my life. And so at first it was my job, and the very next thing after that is church. Church is the rest of my life. My social life is at church. Everything, it all goes together. And so I had to really examine okay. And I think one of the lies I believed that I had to dismantle throughout this entire experience was that God only loves me if I'm performing at a high capacity in his, not in his kingdom, but in his house, I guess I should say. And nobody told me that. Nobody put that in my mind. That's just how I grew up. I just grew up perform, produce, to the point where I have high-key become a perfectionist. And even it's crazy because your life really goes in cycles until you master these things. So I seen this show up before when I had to drop out of college because I was performing, producing, and my mental crashed. Literally my third year of college, so close to the end, my mental was like, Mayday, SOS, girl, if you don't get out of here, you're gonna die for real. But that's how I was raised, right? I've done so much. My mom put me in so many activities, and I did Saturday school, and I did college prep, and I traveled, and I cheered. And so it was it never was a time in my life where I was a kid. Not saying I didn't have fun times, but like overproducing has just always been a part of me. And every time it's driven me into the ground. And I don't know why I haven't learned my lesson yet, but so it came as a result of arrest. This time is me stepping down from my positions that I hold at church. And if I'm honest with y'all, I cried like a baby. You would have thought somebody killed my puppy. I'm sorry, that's insensitive, but y'all know what I'm trying to say. You would have thought something was really wrong with me. Like, I cried. I was like, God, what do you mean? I love it so much. I love my team. I love my family. Like, it was so emo for me. And I had to realize, like, why do you feel like that? What God began to show me in that process was like, no, you're attaching your worth and how you produce in this space to how much I love you. And so when you don't meet the mark, you think I'm displeased, and I'm not displeased at all. And so it really, God, first of all, God is so good, because this is going to touch so many of y'all. This is going to touch so many of y'all. Y'all are going to understand exactly where I'm coming from. And your thing might not be church, but it's work, but it's school, but it's you over momming, you over wifing, you over husbanding, you're over fathering, you're over all, like, you, whatever it is, you're overdoing it. And God already says you're mine. God already says you're my son, you're my daughter. Your inheritance is already set. You're overperforming for what? And that's exactly what it is performing. We're performing. What I realized I was doing was performing so that I felt worthy of the life that God gave me. God gave me a beautiful life. And I was like, how do I even deserve this? So I'm like, you know what, God, I'm going to show you. I'm going to prove to you, and I'm going to prove to the people around me that I deserve the life I have. Knowing, if you know anything about salvation, we don't deserve any of it. So what am I, spinning my wheels for? Being burnt out for? I could never earn what God has given me. And so if you're like me and you suffer from performance addiction, is what I'm calling it, which means you feel like you gotta perform, you feel like you gotta produce, and if you ain't producing, don't nobody in your life love you, everybody hate you. That's a dramatic version, but if you're on board, you're already on board. You already understand what I'm talking about. And that's also overthinking. If you suffer from overthinking, that's a form of this too. And so in reality, what I did 3 things. I did a lot more things, but in reality, I'm going to label this video overcoming, because I'm still overcoming. I still haven't got it all like down packed yet, but I'm just freeing myself up while hopefully freeing y'all up in the process. The first thing I had to do was examine my community. Like, I had to have somebody really that I know had my best interest at heart. I had to have somebody really look at me. I didn't come to this decision on my own. I told y'all I would have never made it. I would have never made this decision on my own. I would have never picked this for me. And so I had to have someone who really know me say, yo, rest, slow down. You're killing yourself. And that's why you can't think. And that's why you're always confused. And that's why your thoughts are always jumbled, because you can't think. So examine your community. Like, really have people in your corner that, whether you on the pit or the palace, they rocking with you. And whether it affects them or not, they're going to be honest with you about your season. Outside of the business of things, like, they're going to be honest with you. So examine your community. One of the second things, I'm sorry, y'all, I got my notes over here too, so if y'all see me looking. The second thing is examine your why. I was overperforming as a result of a lie. The lie was, if I don't produce well in God's kingdom, if I don't go this hard, if I don't serve this hard in God's kingdom, God won't love me anymore. He'll be disappointed in me. Again, nobody told me that. That's just what I inherited over time. And that was me putting human traits on God. We're so mystified by God, and God is such a mystery, and we can never get to know God the way we want to, because God is just that grandiose, right? And so that was my attempt at getting to know God, of being like, and I truly think it stems from my own relationship with my parents, of like, you do this, you get rewarded with this. You don't do this, you don't get rewarded with this. Now, I've had amazing parents, but it's just, that's how that's how we're raising our kids. And so honestly, truly, I think when I think of God as a parent, it's a reward system. You do good, you get good. You do bad, you get bad. But in reality, the wages of sin is death, and we've all sinned. And so because I haven't received death, I can't even use that measure or use that system with God. So yes, so examine your why. Like, is the thing that you're telling yourself about why you're performing, is it even true? Like, I had to learn that I'm working hard for something I'm already entitled to. These princes and princesses and kings, and you ain't never gonna catch. I mean, look, I love the Obama kids. They're beautiful, they're great, but they don't have to work hard. They do, but they don't have to work hard because it's certain stuff in life that's already going to be given to them because of the status of their parent. And so God is our parent, and the status of my father is creator of the universe. And so why am I working super hard? He owns it. That don't make sense. It's my inheritance to have, and nothing I do can mess it up. I've already accepted salvation. So just examine your why. Like, is the thing you're telling yourself really real, or is that the enemy, like, controlling your thoughts? And then I also had to say, like, is my relationship intimate enough with God? Like, I'm overproducing, but do I know this God that I am working for? Like, do I know this God that I'm serving for? Do I know him? Do I spend my own time with him outside of here? And so yeah, this has really challenged me. And then my last thing is to be set free, and that's the hardest part, is to be set free. My thing is just by putting boundaries in place. Like, for me, it was extreme in stepping down from my position, but it might not be that serious for y'all. And for some of y'all, depending on what you're overproducing in, you can't step down. You can't step down from being a parent. You can't step down from being a spouse. But you can put boundaries in place that say, you know what? From the hours of 12 to 3 on Saturday, I ain't answering nobody's phone calls. And guess what? The people in your life will start to catch on. They're going to start to say, oh, it's Julian's self-care day, so we know he ain't answering the phone before 12 to 3. So if it ain't an emergency, we know we better call him before 12, and we better call him after 3. And boundaries also includes letting the emergency pass. Guess what? If it is an emergency and people can't get in touch with you, they're going to move on to the next person, or they're going to do what they need to do in their emergency. And that doesn't mean selfish, and that doesn't mean don't be there for your people, but you also can't bail everybody out of everything. You just can't. And so you have to be set free, and you have to walk in your freedom. The key to deliverance is walking like it afterwards. You can be put back into bondage because of your own decision making. And so I hope I'm not talking in circles. I believe that my message was clear, but my message is this. If you suffer from a performance addiction, you're not alone. I'm calling it a real thing, because it is. And especially for minorities, oh man, we feel the need to, that you got to work twice as hard to get, what is it? You got to work twice as hard to get just as much. Whatever the saying is, we've like imprinted that on our brains. Like, oh my God, I got to work twice as hard to get just as much. And it's okay. It's okay. You know why? Because God evens the playing field. Period. God evens the playing field. God is your father. It's already your inheritance. So I hope that this frees y'all up like it freed me up. I love you guys so much, and I'm so sorry for being gone so long, but my voice will not be silenced any longer by the enemy. I am gonna stay consistent on here, and y'all know, Journey Gang, we cannot leave without inviting people into our Journey Gang. So ways to stay connected are Instagram at @thejourneyjournals_, www.thejourneyjournals.org, and from there you can get on our email list. And then also, we can't leave without inviting people into the best part of our lives, which is salvation. You might not even know this Jesus I speak of, which is why you're really wrestling with your peace, because you don't know who your father is at all. So repeat after me. God, today I give you my life. I believe in my heart and confess with my mouth that Jesus is Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Let's go. I'm so excited for you. All of heaven is rejoicing that you just gave your life to Christ, and hell lost another one. That's not small, that's a big deal. Held lost another one. And so if you need resources, please or if you just want to talk about this video, feel free to comment below. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next week. Love you guys.